When choosing watercolor paper, I often go for a cold press texture. The first thing I do is to test it with a lot of water, to test its mechanical reactions. We see that here it's really dry, and here it almost has the properties of a dishcloth. It contains pure cotton. At this point, we are really engaging in observation. We discover each other, we were looking at each other. I'm going to take advantage of the blends on my palette to create variations of colours. I really want to be able to see the light emerging. There is a beautiful light. This paper gives off a beautiful, bright vibe, which is very important. When it's moist, you can see the texture of the paper. Once it's dry, it's more difficult to see. It feels like the paper becomes increasingly subtle when pigment is added to it. The idea is to get a very uniform result, which is what we have here. Now I'm going to add a few drops. The more water we add, the more we will see a halo effect. However, it will be stopped from expanding by the dry zones. This creates what we call a ring. Now I'm going to look at its lifting capability. I use lifting techniques a lot, so this really interests me. When it comes to lifting, this paper performs very well. It won't blur. This is great. You can bring refined areas back to white, with colours that are very fine and have a tendency to enter into the paper. Now, what remains is to see with clean water. It works very well. In fact, it's one of the best cotton-based papers. There are very few papers for which lifting like that is possible. Here it's dry and the colours are vibrant. They have a beautiful brightness. Here it's very homogeneous, which is a very, very good thing. Now, of course, it will depend on the paintbrush, the amount of water, and the quality of the pigments. But we can already see that this paper allows us to make very precise strokes with a very homogeneous quality. Here there's more pigment, so we have a little line that looks like it has been drawn with a feather. Here it becomes slightly softer to the extent that we can no longer clearly distinguish the inner colours. But we really do see a clear distinction between them and the white of the paper. This is an indication of quality. It should be as distinct as possible. This means that the paper is very uniform in its consistency, in its preparation.